LSU women's basketball legend Seimone Augustus is coming home. The former Lady Tiger, who went on to become a celebrated WNBA player for the Minnesota Lynx and an Olympic gold medal winner, has been hired on by head coach Kim Mulkey as an assistant coach. Augustus, a Baton Rouge native, is the first woman in LSU history to have her jersey retired and is memorialized by a statue on the campus. Earlier this week, Jeff Palermo, the news and sports director of the Louisiana Radio Network, and Tiger Rag editor Todd Horne sat down with Patrick Wright, the voice of the Lady Tigers, to discuss the hiring and what it could mean for LSU women's basketball. I'm your host, Jake McMains, and we'll hear that interview right after a word from our sponsor.
It's your time to move things forward. U.S. Army Reserve.
Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Yeah. Let's go. Come on.
Tiger Rag Radio is on the air.
Let's crank this thing up.
We're statewide, breaking down the latest happenings with LSU athletics.
This is us.
Hear from the coaches.
Put together a defense that puts us in a position to win the SEC.
The players.
Having fun and we working, baby. That's it, man.
The recruits.
Show some passion and some heart.
And those who cover the Fighting Tigers of LSU and the SEC.
All those things are going to be there, which are important.
It's 2 hours of nonstop LSU talk.
What a privilege. I mean, you get to represent LSU.
Tiger Rag Radio is brought to you by Cummins. Cummins creates power solutions that the world depends on. Helm Paint and Decorating. The paint experts of Louisiana. Louisiana Beef Industry Council. Max Home. And the East Baton Rouge Parish Library. Get ready to talk Tigers with producer Jackson Blackman and our hosts, Todd Horne and Jeff Palermo.
Three great players that are better people than they are players.
This is Tiger Rag Radio.
Yeah, we're back here on Tiger Rag Radio. Hour number 2 of the show. Jeff Palermo along with Tiger Rag editor Todd Horne and Jackson Blackman, our producer. LSU women's basketball making some news this week. We'll hear from Seimone Augustus on Thursday as she has been hired as an assistant coach. And Patrick Wright, who's already starting to drink his coffee, which I don't think you drink coffee, do you, Patrick?
I don't actually.
Oh,
no.
there you go.
What? How does a grown man not drink
I don't drink coffee either.
Oh, my God.
I'm not a coffee guy.
I drink enough for both of you.
There you go. There you go. But Patrick Wright, you'll still have the adrenaline going Friday night for the late night start. But before we get into softball, let's talk Seimone Augustus joining the program. It's great to have a legend back within your program, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's it's a can't miss. You know, it's been clear, you know, since day one that Seimone loves Baton Rouge. She loves LSU. The memories I have last year in Dallas when we won the championship, and she kind of led the group of alumni players who were there. And she was as happy as anybody in that building to see LSU win a championship. And that's the kind of passion that you can't it's not make-believe. Like it's real. And even though, you know, she's been away, I guess, 16, 17 years ago since she last played, it's home. And a lot of good things drew her here. I think there's a lot of pluses to her coming, and a lot of pluses for the rest of us for her to be here.
Pat, did you have any inclination or any insight that this was in the works?
Not immediately, no, but it's always just one of those things that's kind of been spoken about, kind of ish. You know, like somebody would throw out, hey, you know, maybe Seimone can come back and coach one day. So it's not a shock that it happened. I didn't know it was going to happen this year. But it, you know, with the staff opening up a spot with Johnny Derrick retiring, even though he's not really an on-court coach, there was a spot there. And, you know, timing is everything in life sometimes. And it just happened to, you know, the spot came open and she was ready to take it.
Well, two questions for you. Speaking of that, what will be her role, do you think, in terms of being on the coaching staff? What will she be doing? And can you give us a little background on her coaching? I know she was with the Sparks for a while as Los Angeles Sparks.
Yeah, she spent a year there. I've honestly haven't spoken to anybody over in the building yet, but here's what I think Seimone would like to do. I think she would be someone who would be an outstanding recruiter to go in to a young girl's home, a junior, senior in high school, to try to pitch coming to LSU. I think a motivation for Seimone to come here is her just absolute admiration of Bob Starkey. And, I think she wants to learn from him how to even become a better coach. I think that'll be a big part of it. Coach Starkey has always spoken that it said that Seimone is one of the highest IQ players he's ever had, as far as basketball goes. And and he said this a few days ago. He said that some of his fondest moments of Seimone weren't necessarily on the court, but in practice. She was the best practice player he's ever seen. And I think that's the kind of player that makes a good coach. And I think she's going to want to learn what does it take on a day in, day out basis to be a coach at this level. So that's what I think is probably in the works.
What's her relationship with Coach Mulkey like?
Oh, it's wonderful. Before Coach Mulkey came here, I think it was probably okay, but since Kim led the charge, basically one of the first things she did when she got the job was start asking the question, why isn't there a statue of Seimone here? It's certainly not something that Seimone asked for, but Coach Mulkey's, one of her main things to do was to get that done, and it got done. And Seimone is, I think, very indebted to her for that. And I think their relationship is just outstanding. The times I've seen them together, it's just one of those kind of very mutual admiration type things.
May is here, and with it comes adventure from your friends at the East Baton Rouge Parish Library. Enjoy your summer with the 2024 Summer Reading Program. Besides reading fun, check out free programs for all ages at your library. Go to ebrpl.com/summerreading. That's ebrpl.com/summerreading. Your EBR Parish Library is where summer fun begins.
Talking with Patrick Wright on the Max Home Hotline, over 50,000 Max happy homeowners and counting. Patrick, I was talking about in the last segment, when Seimone was a player here, she wasn't very outspoken, kind of quiet, kind of shy. But when we had an opportunity to talk with her right before the statue unveiling, she was almost like a different person, just how well-spoken she was and so forth. What do you think as far as, because me and you were talking earlier this week about how you're kind of surprised. You never thought maybe, I guess when she was playing, you never would see her as a coach. But now I think, she is someone that seems like she could be an outstanding coach just because of how well she's matured, and not to say she was immature, but you know where I'm going with that. It's much more of instead of an introvert, she's a much more articulate person.
Well, and it's funny because all of us who have been around the program have kind of had that conversation and observation that when she was a player, I don't think the media annoyed her. I don't think it was that. I think she just was kind of a quiet person,
right, yeah.
and she didn't seek out the media attention. But then when she came back and her press conference right before the day before the statue unveiling, just all of us, I think William Weathers was there, and he and I talked about it. That, man, this is a different Seimone, because she's so. I think she's always been thoughtful, but she's just so articulate about it now. When she kind of chose not to be, and it's been fun to watch. I got also a chance to see her at the St. Patrick's Day parade this year. She was the Grand Marshal, and it was kind of cool to see all the people. I mean, she signed hundreds of autographs because everybody still in this town admires Seimone for what they remember her as being, either here or the Olympics or the Lynx or whatever. She's beloved in this community, and it's so great that she's going to be a part of this again.
Well, it is fantastic. I still go back to when Patrick went before she arrived at LSU, and they remember when Louisiana High School Athletic Association used to have those all-star games in the summer. and you know, they had the football game in Tiger Stadium, which was just awful to watch. It was like 7-6 was the score every year. And then they'd have the girls and boys basketball games, and the girls game was before the boys won. And I remember going to that game, and there were more people there for the girls' high school all-star game. And then when that game ended, like it was like somebody hit the fire alarm inside the Maravich Center. The place was empty for the boys because after the girls had played. I mean, that was for people that, especially for the younger listening audience. I think it's the best. We knew about LeBron James, right? When he was in high school and what he could be. It was the same thing with Seimone Augustus, and maybe even before that, even in middle school, you started hearing about you started hearing about the legend of Seimone Augustus.
Well, she and I had a sit down for the LSU Gold, and they put together a documentary about Seimone, and I had a chance. This was all right around the statue unveil last year. We just had about a 45-minute conversation, and it started. I've lived in this town my entire life, and I remember, she was on the cover of Sports Illustrated for kids and whatnot. But she actually said her legend first started when she was in about 5th grade, playing at like a break gym, and she was playing against the boys and doing just all kinds of crazy stuff. And then word started getting around. Everybody would go out and tell their friends, "Hey, there's this girl inside the gym schooling all the boys." And that's how the legend kind of got started when she was in like 5th or 6th grade. And then by the time she got to Capitol High as a 9th grader, it was, again, in an era, this is the early 2000s when social media hadn't quite become a huge thing yet. And the word of mouth on her around town was pretty big. Like, everybody knew who she was.
Patrick, I don't think we've had you on. I know we've had you on, but I don't think we've asked you. What do you think of the 3 new additions at the guard position?
I think it's going to be a little trial and error to figure out. I think you need a point guard who can kind of run your offense a little bit. It would be nice to have one who can shoot a little bit. I think the main thing they would like is to have someone who could keep other guards from penetrating and getting into the lane and dishing. I've seen each of them play a little bit. I think they're hoping out of the 3 that they all kind of have the needed characteristics that can fit. You can't put 3 heads onto the same body. So I think out of the combination somewhere, that's what they're looking for. The main one, I think, is defensively. You got to be a little bit better at stopping some of those quicker guards that they had a little bit of trouble with last year. And then somebody, I don't think they're going to need 20 points a game. 10, 12 points a game, 5, 6 assists, I think is what they're looking for. So I'm not sure one particular of the 3 is going to take it over. I do remember Miracle, the kid from Mississippi State, had 5 steals against us last year when we played them. So that she might be your defensive, kind of guard stopper that you're looking for. So I think it's going to all kind of be sorted out when October comes and they practice and they see exactly who does what and they figure out kind of how they want to piece it together.
I think that most people that contact the 90-Day Lifeline are looking to be heard and to feel seen.
Anybody that calls here to talk about anything that has them upset, we will talk to them.
Even on our chat and text services, you will be actually chatting and texting with a real person.
We have enough resources to be able to help people in any type of situation.
We have helpline specialists that are trained to handle the variety of calls that we get.
It's a very laid-back thing. We're not judging anybody. We're just a listening ear that some people don't have.
That'll be it for today's show. I'd like to thank Jeff, Todd, and Patrick for the interview. We'll be back later this week. But until then, stay tuned to TigerRag.com for all your latest LSU sports news.